Now, you've mentioned several times Mastermind, and for me as an agency owner and someone in the online marketing world, I've heard many times about Masterminds. I've never participated in one. Like, what? I would love, first of all, for you to say a few words about your mastermind, but also what are the benefits of joining a mastermind, and who is it really for? Like, not just you in particular, but generally speaking, and obviously your mastermind, who is it for?
I'll tell you why masterminds are so badass. Obviously, you can tell I'm a fan. I think if you're going to be in business long term, it's like, for real, it's an advantageous shortcut to be in the right. About 5 years ago, I got invited to a lawyer mastermind, and it was one of my OG mentors who I've mentioned earlier. His name is Ken. And Ken said, a couple of the guys there have a bunch of SEO questions. I know you did it for 7 or 8 years, and you don't do it now. So I know you don't have a service to sell them. So you have no kind of skin in the game. So you can just give them like real, no bullshit answers. Is this company any good? Is that one any good? They just want to know like that. How are my rankings? What would it take to beat this guy? What do you think of this company? Blah, blah, blah. Like, just those kind of things. So I said, sure. And I came in and I sat in this mastermind. I was speaking at the event. So it wasn't even like I had to make a special trip for it or anything. It was just like, hey, come downstairs, for after hours and sit with us for 2 hours. And I remember I asked him, just out of curiosity, how much is the mastermind? And he said, it's $12,000 for 3 meetings a year. And I remember thinking, who in their fucking right mind would pay $12,000 for 3 fucking meetings, right? And I remember, I still to this day remember just having my head blew up, because I went in there and I didn't know this, but he didn't tell me, but this was a mastermind of some of the top lawyers in the fucking world. Like state leaders, some of the biggest guys. Like, there were, I think, 12 to 14 guys in the room, and every one of them was like a serious player in their market, like top 1%, either the biggest or second biggest, and moving up. And I remember the first hour of it, one of the guys got up there and he showed what he was doing with his TV ads, and they asked him some questions. In a matter of an hour, I went from knowing zero about lawyer TV commercials to knowing how much they cost, who can produce them for you, the name of the companies, how to buy the media, who to get it cheap, who to talk to at the network, who is the one who produced it, who gets the branding, phone numbers, which kind of commercials work, which ones don't, how long do you need to run them, how to measure them, and a list of everybody's commercials and how many variations. And my mind was blew up. I went from knowing nothing to an hour later, I've never tried, but I'm convinced I could write like really successful lawyer TV commercials. I actually now know there's a guy, we call him the godfather of lawyer TV. His name's Harlan Schillinger. He's a friend of mine. I got introduced to Harlan. I would have no idea who Harlan was at this mastermind. And I realized really quickly that the top people, one of their big advantages is they're sharing what works with other top people. Like, there was a network going on behind the scenes of the people who were the top people who were sharing all the little insider secrets. They were sharing like how they got a little more out of extra case. They were sharing their funnels and their marketing and their ads and all those things to people who had non-compete relationships with them. And so what I realized is like the real key more than anything else is it was a tremendous shortcut. It's not like I couldn't have figured out TV commercials. I could have researched who are the people and how to buy it, and all of those things I could have found out individually, but I got up to speed on it in like a fucking hour. And so a big part of like what we're doing in our mastermind is my mastermind's called the Beyond Agency Profits Wolf Pack. We call ourselves the Wolf Pack. I don't have my wolf shirt on today, but usually I'm rocking a wolf shirt. And it's for agency owners typically who are around anywhere from like 5 to 15 clients who want to scale the thing and eliminate all the meetings and phone calls and do it in a way where, you're doing less than 10 hours a week and keeping clients a long time. And also, like, a big part of it, like I've mentioned, is reinvesting profits into assets. So you're making money when you're not working. So even if you like totally stop doing agency things, you're still getting, more wealth regardless. And we've seen some pretty amazing things like in our mastermind. I've seen, I mentioned people have their first $100,000 a month. People have their passive income goals. Like, to me, that's a huge number. When your passive income all of a sudden meets your basic needs of life and your family's needs, like, you literally never have to work again from that point. Everything is optional to you at that point, because you at least have like job living without lifting a finger. We've also had people, like one guy just told me that he's posting his Stripe account, and his average retention is so high that his average client pays him $400,000. We've helped people to start charging 10 grand a month for their services, and a whole bunch of, like, just little wins like that. And those are things that, like I always say, I don't take people who wouldn't be successful and make them successful. It's I take what would take you 10 years to figure out, and we do it in 10 weeks. And so it's the benefit of, like, just getting there a lot fucking faster based on, people who've already been in front of you and taken the arrows. And when I realized the power of masterminds, when I first went into that one, I joined a mastermind about, I don't know, my own, like, not like my own, but I joined somebody else's and paid for it. And I think it was like $10,000 or $15,000. And I think I had an exponential leap forward. I went from, like, kind of like, I think I was charging like $1,000 or $2,000 a month and didn't feel like I could charge more, to, like, suddenly 5 or 10 grand was okay. And had, like, my first $50,000 a month, like, really, like, shortly thereafter. It was an interesting thing to suddenly have, like, breathing room in the bank and better systems and higher end clients and funnels. And it was just like learning from people who've already done it, their sales structures, their mindsets and things like that. And so I think there's just the power of a support structure that's bigger than you and can see things that you can't necessarily see. And so I don't think masterminds are necessarily for everybody, but if you're interested in ours, it'll be, like I say, usually the people we help the best are 5 to 15, 20 clients and are having some traction, but are reaching that stuck point and want to go to a point where you just have, clients who pay a lot, are happy for a long time, and you have the systems and the process and the team, and then you're reinvesting profits and you're building real wealth that gets you ahead. And that's a thing nobody really taught me, is like, okay, so even I've had agency friends who have like $200,000 a month agencies, and then eventually after like 2-3 years reach a point of burnout and stop running their agency, and they're fucking broke like a month or two later. And it's like blows your mind, because they're living a $200,000 a month lifestyle, and they had a $200,000 a month team and those kind of things. And then, once they have their foot off the gas, they have nothing to show for it. And, like, for those of us who have kids, like, there's something to be said for, like, really permanently getting ahead in a way where you have kind of what I call, like, fuck you money. Like, the guy who has the passive income to cover his life, he never has to get up out of bed and work again. So, and, we've also just helped a lot of people. I'd say another big thing we do is help people to craft offers around what they do that go from making it difficult to sell to easy, where, like, suddenly goes from this kind of like swimming against the current. Like, when I first sold SEO, it was always like swimming against the current, and I'd have to use proposals and chase people, to suddenly this downhill thing where people just say, yes, I want that. And then you don't have to fight so hard to sell it. That's another kind of benefit. That's a long-winded rant, but I'm a big fan of masterminds in general. I don't think our mastermind is for everybody, but I think if you're looking to be in business for a long time, they're worth exploring.
Amazing. And you also have a book that we briefly touched about earlier, Beyond the Agency Box, right? That's the name?
That's the one. It's on Amazon.
Yeah. So what's inside of that?
Well, this is basically, I think the things that people get the most out of is probably the second chapter has a thing about the 5 stages of agency growth, which is growing from a freelancer to hiring people to managing it to being like a CEO of a real thing. And then if you want to, building multiple agencies. And I've never really had the desire to go past that point, but understanding what the exact challenges are and how to get through them and identifying those, because a lot of times what keeps people stuck is just working on the wrong things, like not actually knowing what's keeping them stuck and identifying the real causes of where they're stuck. And I think just for that alone, it's worth it. There's also some gems in there about like kind of setting client expectations and setting up those relationships to win, and how to keep clients happy, which, by the way, has very fucking little to do with your deliverable. Took me a lot of years to realize it's like, even if you do great SEO, or if you get 10 times return on Facebook ads, you still may get fired. But if you do the things I talk about in the book, you'll have happy clients and they'll love you for it. So there's just lots of little things like that. It's basically 14 years of agency struggle and realizations compressed down to, I don't know, 150, 200 pages or whatever it is.
Amazing. Frankie, where can people find you?
Well, as mentioned, if you're interested in checking out the book, that'd be a good starting place. It's on Amazon. It's called Beyond the Agency Box. You can just also search my name, Frankie Finn. And we also have a little Facebook community called Beyond Agency Profits, Lifestyle Agency Design. It's for those of you guys who want to design a business that supports your life rather than own it, so that you can, do the beach or whatever that is for you. Like a lot of our people are naturey mountain climbers, like to just kind of do their own thing and have some peace in their lives and have a cool business that supports all that, so they can have real freedom. If that's you, you probably like our community. There's lots of cool shit I share inside of there. So check it out.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your time, man. It's been a real jam, and I personally took a lot from it. And yeah, we'll definitely keep this thing rolling, and maybe we'll do a round 2 in a couple of months or so.
You got it.
Awesome, man. Thank you.